Hi, and welcome to our virtual gardening class. Today we will be talking about regrowing vegetables from scraps. My name is Diane Jaroch, and I am the Assistant Director and Adult Services Librarian at the Urban L. Young Memorial Library in Whitewater, Wisconsin. Today we are going to be talking about growing vegetables from scraps. If you're like me, you probably take your carrots and your celery and cut the ends off and throw the ends away and never give it a second thought. Well, guess what? You can regrow some vegetables by saving those ends or the tops. There's two different ways that we can regrow the vegetables. There are growing it from the roots or growing it from the tops. The vegetables that we grow from the roots are green onions, garlic, fennel, celery, romaine lettuce, bok choy, leeks, onions, and lemongrass. Here is an example of some celery that I have regrown. The vegetables that we use the tops to regrow are carrots, beets, turnips, radishes, and daikon. Now, a couple myths. People think you're regrowing the whole vegetable. That's really not true. The only ones that you can really grow to be a full-size vegetable are celery, leeks, fennel, the green onion, and romaine lettuce. The others, you're just growing the greenery part of it. That's especially true of those that you use the tops, like the carrots, the beets, and the turnips, and the radishes, those root vegetables. What's growing is really the green part of the plant, not the actual turnip itself or the carrot itself. But that's fine because you can use that in many of your recipes. Okay, so let's get started today. I'm going to be demonstrating how to regrow celery, green onion, and carrots. First, you'll need some containers. I have found these flat containers are really nice. I've also used just like a cottage cheese container. That's what I used for my celery. And little jars. This little jar I used to put my green onions in. And I don't know if you can see, they're sprouting from the top. I did put some marbles in them with them to help keep them up because they were so tiny. Now when I did these, I kind of cut them too low. You really want to leave, I left like an inch, 3 inches is better for the green onions just because they are so tiny. So we're going to get started. You need containers, your vegetable scraps, some water, some sunlight, a couple of tips. The water doesn't need to be changed every day. You want to keep them in direct sunlight, but you want to keep them away from a heat source like your heat register or any other heat source, because that will bake the vegetables instead of regrowing them, and we don't want that to happen. So let's get started. I've got my celery here. I'm going to get the cutting board. I've got a cutting board and a knife. We'll start with the celery because I found that to be really easy. And oddly enough, within 3 days, I had sprouts growing. I was so excited because this is the first time I'd ever tried to regrow vegetables from scraps. So I took my celery, just cut the ends off, left for this part, the bottom. Usually we would throw it out or compost it, but no. I took my cottage cheese container and I took some water, about an inch of water, depending upon the size. I just did like an inch and a half, depending upon the size of your vegetable you're regrowing. This is kind of larger, so you need a little more water. You can also take this, put some toothpicks in it to keep it out of sitting right into the water. That works as well. They will get slimy on the bottom, and that's perfectly fine. That's what they're supposed to. That happens because they're in the water. So here we have bottom of the celery. Took the top off. Water in our container. Put it in the container, and then we're going to just let that sit for a couple days. And within 3 days, you should have some little sprouts like this growing. It's like there's little celery stalks growing on here. It's really exciting. Now when I first started doing this, I didn't realize you really should change the water every day, so my bottoms got a little brown, but they're still growing in the celery, so it's fine. Just, it's better if you change your water every day. That'll keep it from getting really gross and slimy too. So that's how we do the celery. My knife fell off. Moving on to carrots. Now the celery, we used the bottom and the actual vegetable will be growing. For the carrots, we are just going to be using the tops, and it'll be the green growing up from the carrots. So these are the carrots. I haven't cut these yet. This is the bottom. So you're going to put them in so that that bottom, kind of opposite of how we did the celery, is up, and then that's where the little green shoots. Now I attempted to do this with the other bunch of carrots in this package, and they did not sprout. But I noticed that there's not a lot to start with here. So I think that's the problem. They got cut off too much when they were at the grocery store. But we're gonna give it another shot. So take your carrots, chop the bottoms off, and here we have the bottoms. These work perfect in these little shallow containers. So we're gonna take our shallow container, gonna get our water. I dropped a carrot on the floor, but that's okay, we'll get that later. About an inch of water in there, and these you just put down like this. So easy, it takes no time at all. There you have it. You've got your little carrot tops, and hopefully in a few days we'll have some little greenery growing on there. That's our celery and our carrots. Next we have our little green onions, and these sprouted very quickly too. You can see the little sprouts coming up. Let's see if I can get you a better view. It's really hard to do. This glass is really thick, so it's hard to see through. Here we have our bunch of green onions. We're going to take those, and we're going to chop about 3 inches off, and you'll be left. You can do 1 to 3 inches left with your little green onions with the roots, and this, again, the roots will go down in the water. I may have to play around because it's really tricky, I found, because these are so thin, to keep them upright. That's why I ended up putting some marbles in with it. But we're gonna put them in there, pour our water, and within a few days we're gonna have some little green sprouts coming up out of there. You can see how they're kind of floating all over, so you do need to find a container that works really well. You could probably even maybe put a really light rubber band around them to keep them in place, as long as it's not cutting off any of the stems. So there, that's how we do our green onions. And it takes no time at all to take these scraps, put them in the water, and regrow them. I will say that you shouldn't expect to have full-grown vegetables and, oh, I never have to go to the grocery store again. No, unfortunately, they don't yield a lot. You don't get a lot from them, but it's kind of fun to do, especially in the winter. You know, a little seeing new things grow really gives us some hope for spring. Also keep in mind that the vegetables that you're growing, they're going to taste a lot more mild than what you purchase in the grocery store. So don't be surprised, you know, if that celery doesn't taste just like that celery you bought last week. No, it's going to be a little milder. Again, let's go over what you need is container, vegetable scraps, water, sunlight. Want to change the water every day. Want to keep them away from a direct heat source, because that will just bake the vegetables. And there are a couple of vegetables that come springtime, you can actually transplant them in your garden. And those are the onions and the celery. Those you can put in soil and they will grow. Well, that's about what I have for you today. Let's go over a few more things though. Let's go over the root vegetables and the tops. Again, the tops that you're gonna grow, carrots, and we use the tops. It will grow from the top, so you cut it, put it in the water, and you'll get greenery growing from the top there. Carrots, beets, turnips, radishes, and daikon, you will all do this way. Those are the tops, and those are your root vegetables. The others, like celery, green onion, garlic, fennel, romaine lettuce, bok choy, onions, lemongrass, those we all do bottom, and it's going to grow roots from the bottom, and then at the top you're going to get your vegetable, like this one. My little celery stalks growing there. So exciting. Very fresh. And that is what we have today for our virtual gardening program. Thank you for joining me, and have fun playing with your kitchen scraps. And be sure to join us in January. We have 2 programs planned for the 2nd and 4th Monday in January at 10 a.m. And the first week we will be discussing how to make your own bird seed suet, and bird feeders, because our little feathered animals, they need some food this time of year. And then the second program, we will be learning how to care for our indoor plants. And I will also be telling you which plants grow the best and the easiest. Thank you again for joining me today here, and join me next time at the next virtual gardening program. Thank you.